Hello guys and welcome to today's video. Today we're going to be reviewing a brand new company. Well, it's not a brand new company. It's an old company in China. However, it's a brand new company in Europe, like a worldwide market, called Kumi. If you directly translate Kumi from Chinese, that means connecting with the future. So on my left I've got Kumi KU2 Plus version of the watch, which is a rectangular watch, and on my right I've got a round smartwatch, which is Kumi GT5. So without further ado, let's unbox it and see what comes from China, from Kumi, for $37 and $34. So both products obviously come with the watches, and you've got black silicone straps. Both straps are very good, and the watches themselves are made out of nice materials. I will be talking about them later on. You've got user manuals with a welcome coupons that just introduces you to the company, tells you all about the company and when they were established and so on. And a very familiar magnetic chargers, which we've got accustomed to. Although this is the same company and watches are produced by the same company, these two watches use different softwares to operate with your phone. So GT5 uses Super Band application from like a Google Play Store or App Store, and Kumi KU2 Plus uses GloryFit, which we've seen in the past when I was doing a review for watches that were called Cubot N1. So I'll probably introduce you to each watch individually. It would be easier to do so. So in usual manner, I'll introduce you to some of the figures. So for Kumi GT5, this watch costs $37 with 11/11, so 11th of November coming up soon. You will get very good coupons on AliExpress and you will get this watch a lot cheaper, so bear that in mind. So inside of the watch you'll find two processors. So one processor is purely for watch actions, so like actions within the watch itself. The processor is called Realtek 8762CW. And there's a second processor, which is JL6963, which is purely dedicated for the heart rate sensor. The size of the screen is 1.28 inches across with a resolution of 240 by 240. Battery inside of this watch is 220 milliamp, which should last for about 4 to 6 days, provided that you're not going to be using phone call capabilities, because this watch comes with a microphone. There's actually two microphones, there's one there, and there's a speaker on the left side, but we will talk about that later on. If you're going to be activating this option, be prepared that your watch will drain the battery within a day or less. There are two Bluetooth modules in this watch, which is Bluetooth 5.0 and Bluetooth 5.0. So there's Bluetooth to connect to your phone, and there's Bluetooth to use a secondary system to use the microphone and the phone capabilities. This watch comes with the IP rating 68. So now it's time to take a look at its rival, which is Kumi KU2 Plus. The processor inside of this watch is Realtek 8762C. We have seen this processor in the past as well. For those of you who follow this channel, you probably would recognize that. The size of the screen is 1.69 inches across, which is quite large. The actual design of the watch is somewhat resembles DT93 that I've reviewed in the past as well. So it's a curved glass. But the resolution is slightly higher than on the previous model, which is 240 by 280, and that shows a lot. When you look at the picture, this picture looks a lot more crisp and brighter, and the colors more saturated and vivid. The battery inside of this watch is 200 milliamp battery, which will actually last you from one charge up to about 15 days. So basically for 2 weeks you don't have to worry about charging this watch again, and we will be taking a look at it later on as well. The Bluetooth inside of this watch is Bluetooth 5.0. I found that the connection stayed really strong. I haven't had a single dropout, and everything was perfectly fine. IP rating is IP67, and to mention once again, the app that this watch is using is probably one of my favorite apps, is GloryFit, which we will be taking a look later on as well. Now let's take a look at the sort of the visual aesthetics of this particular model, which is GT5. So the body is all made out of aluminium. You've got a very nice thick glass here, which is hardened glass, so it's not going to be scratching. The buttons are also metal. You know, there's a very good attention to detail. I quite like that. The rear of the watch is, you know, it could have been a bit more interesting. However, it's a very nice quality plastic with a sort of very simple sensors right in the middle. You've got your magnetic pins here. You've got a cutout for the microphone on the back, cutout for the microphone on your right. Two buttons got very nice little red accent, you know, it makes it look really good. And on the left you got a cutout for the speaker. When it comes to Kumi KU2 Plus, same story once again. It's all made out of aluminium. You've got curved glass instead of obviously a flat round glass. It's a hardened glass as well, so it's not going to scratch. The rear of the watch, this is where the difference is. So you've got that metal little button that's there for the temperature probe. So this watch can actually show your current body temperature. You've got different sensors as well. They look a bit more sophisticated rather than on Kumi GT5. You've got your magnetic dock. There is no microphone, there is no speaker on this watch, so this is basically like a fitness tracker. And you've got your power button with a red accent as well on the right side of the watch. So let's quickly have a look at the inside of this watch, the Kumi KU2 Plus. So if you scroll from top to bottom, you've got options to disable the vibrations if you don't want that. You've got your brightness. Mine is currently set at maximum, and I probably recommend the same for you. You can find your phone if you lost it, you can jump into the settings and so on. Now, if you scroll from right to left, that takes you into this sort of several options. So first of all is your temperature probe. The watch has to be on the wrist. It will not take reading of the temperature or heart rate or blood pressure or anything like that unless it's been put onto the wrist. So if you pop it onto the wrist, the measurements will take place. It will take a couple of seconds. For the temperature probe, the best thing to do would be to keep your watch on throughout the day and to activate the option for the temperature to be taken 24 hours non-stop. That will give you the best reading and the most accurate reading. In my opinion, the readings are very accurate, so I'm just going to give it 5 stars out of 5 for that. Then you've got your quick info about how many steps you've done, what sort of distance you've traveled, and how many calories you've burned, and so on. In my test, I found that this watch shows a very accurate measurements for the steps and the sleep records and all those things. Then you got your blood pressure. Once again, if it's not on the wrist, the reading will not take place. This is your sort of records for the previous night's sleep, which I found to be very accurate. It shows you the weather as well for one day. It shows you the highs and the lows for the day. Then if we scroll from bottom to top, that takes you into your messages. So we do that right now. The font itself could have been slightly better, but this is their first attempt for the European market. So bear in mind that there could be updates, and the font could be better in the future. Then if you scroll from left to right, that takes you into your main menu. I think the animation is fairly smooth on this watch. So first of all, we'll take a look at the training, the sports modes. You've got running, cycling, skipping, swimming. So potentially you could be taking this watch into the swimming pool. You've got badminton, tennis, alpinism, walking, basketball, football, and many other. So these are quite cool, easy to use. Then stats, that's basically like I've showed you stats about your things, your heart rate, blood oxygen, sleeping, tracking, weather. Music control is very simple. Play, pause, skip tracks, nothing else, nothing fancy. You can't control the volume or anything like that, but that's good enough anyway. Then you got your messages. If you click on more, that's got your stopwatch timer, and you can find your watch if you lost it. So if we jump into the stopwatch, you can see it's a very simple, but it's a nicely laid out. It looks very good. It looks like a Halo watch, really thought through. And then if we jump into the settings, you've got a choice of several wallpapers for your screen. So you've got wallpapers like that. You can also press on the screen, hold, and then change your wallpapers. The colors on the screen are fairly accurate. They're not super bright, they're not super vivid, but it's a nice screen to look at. And I'm sure there will be a couple of heads turned on the street if they were to see you wearing this watch. I personally prefer this just because it's colorful enough. We will be looking at a GloryFit app later on, and I will show you that I think there's about 90 watch faces available for this watch. And the library has been expanding quite rapidly for the past couple of days. So I think what we'll do now is we will jump into the GloryFit app. I will show you what the GloryFit app looks. So on the first page, usual thing, you got your goal, you got your distance that you've traveled today and how many calories you burned, how many steps you've done, your current heart rate, and the body temperature, because this watch can actually take the body temperature and all those things. Then if we jump into the sports mode, usual thing, you can track your sports activities with a greater accuracy, because this usually activates the GPS mode in your phone, and that will give you a better sort of readings. And then if we jump into the device itself, let's first of all jump into the dashboard, which is basically your watch faces. So immediately you can see that the watch faces are by far more informative. There are a number of things. So for instance, you can see your current heart rate, your current step counting and calorie burning, and your remaining battery sort of charge. And on some of these you can see the weather for today and so on. I'll scroll through. There's about 90 of them available. You can see that these watch faces will be good enough for different age groups and so on, and different preferences, because there is quite a few to choose from. And I'm glad to announce that this library has been expanding for the past couple of weeks, and there have been new watch faces adding on. So in the near future you should be able to see more watch faces available, and that's quite good. In My Dials you can see watch faces that you've downloaded and used on your watch previously, and on the custom dials you can actually upload a photograph of your choice, and you can sort of really customize the watch face for your watch. Then in heart rate settings, you can turn it on and off for the automatic heart rate reading to be taken 24 hours a day if you wish to. You've got your body temperature, same thing, same goes for the blood oxygen settings. For the phone capabilities, and obviously you don't have a microphone or speaker, but you can turn this option on and off, and you can also activate or deactivate the vibration and the alarm. And for the text messages, you've got the same thing. You can turn it either on and off. For the app, that's basically your social medias. I'm quite pleased to announce that there are very many different social medias that can be connected to this watch, and you can actually get the information to your watch. Especially that's quite important for the in contact, which is down there, VK. That's like a Russian Facebook sort of thing, and I know that many people, not just Russians, but many people across the world actually use this platform to connect with each other, and that's very important because you've got every single social media available, so that will work. And even if you don't see the social media of your choice, you can always click this last where it says app and it says other. If you turn this option on, that should allow for majority of social medias to actually come through onto your phone if they're not listed down here. You also got your light up, basically meaning that whenever you're going to turn your wrist, the screen will turn on or off. If you can turn this option on and off, and do not disturb mode as well, just there. If you don't want to be disturbed, you can update your firmware. And for more settings, there are options for you to change between how long your screen is going to stay on. You can go for maximum for 15 seconds. I've opted out for 10 seconds. I think it's a golden middle. And also, I know quite a few people asked me before, can you change the time format? So in here you can, so 24-hour format or 12-hour format. And within the app you can change the language. So if you're looking for your language, just have a closer look. Maybe your language will be in this list just there. Now let's take a look at the Kumi GT5 watch. So same thing again, we'll jump into the settings. If you scroll from top to bottom, this watch got a bit more options because it's got a microphone and it's got a speaker. Obviously this little icon right on the top, I'm not going to click it right now, but this icon just there, that shows you whether your watch is connected or not. So if you keep that on, bear in mind that the battery will drain almost immediately. If you keep this option off, like the microphone and the speaker, then your watch will last for a lot longer, which is going to be basically like a week or so. Then you've got a QR code to download the app for easy access. So then you got your music player, which is very simple. So it only allows you to play and pause tracks and keep tracks forwards and backwards. You can change the theme. There are two styles, so you can choose between 1 and 2. I'll show you that later on in a minute as well. And this light bulb just there, if you turn this option on, and I will show you what I mean later on, that activates the LED bezel, which is all of those white lines and those triangles. You will see what happens later on. That's like a centerpiece of this particular watch. So if you scroll from right to left, that should give us the same information as the previous watch did. So the info about how many steps you've done, what sort of mileage you've traveled and how many calories you've burned. There's also a heart rate sensor there, like a reading, like an option. So I just pop it on my wrist. It's not the quickest, it's not like the most up-to-date sensor. However, it does take reading, and reading seems to be fairly accurate at most of the time. So we go 92. That's fairly accurate. Then if we scroll further on, that will show you your sort of your sleep pattern and your sleep tracking from the previous night. And we go back to the main menu. So now to access your main menu, you need to scroll from bottom to top. And in here you will see how many steps you've done. You can dial the phone number. I'm not going to jump into there because otherwise the secondary Bluetooth with a speaker and a microphone will activate. You've got your phone book, which you have to fill up throughout the app, and you can input your favorite contacts so you can actually dial them quicker. There's a heart rate reading, oxygen and blood levels and so on. So we'll jump into the sports mode. You've got running, sit-ups, jumping, basketball, badminton, volleyball, bike riding and tennis. Definitely no swimming pool here, although this is an IP68, so I wouldn't recommend to take it into a swimming pool. Be careful with that. Dual mode, this is the basically like an extra activation of your Bluetooth module, which you can activate by scrolling from top to bottom and activating it here as well. So what else we got? We've got music control, and you've got your camera control. You can find your phone if you've lost it, and then you've got your sleep tracking, camera control. You've got your stopwatch, which looks like that, very simple but works. You can reset your watch, and you can also see the messages. I've got no messages at the minute, but it stores up to 3 messages and you can read them. Unfortunately, you can't reply them, you can just read them and delete them from the watch. There's also a QR code to download the app to use with this watch. You can see the weather, it shows you the highs and lows for today. And if you jump into the setups, you can change language, you can read about the watch. Let's have a look at what sort of languages we've got pre-installed onto the watch. You got English, Chinese, Netherlands, Russian, French, Dutch, Portuguese, Espanol, Turkish, Polish, and many other, Italian, Filipino. So you can actually change the language within the watch itself. You don't have to jump into the app. You can also set the time. Many people ask me, can I set the time within the watch? Yes, you can with this particular watch. And then you can set the date and you can change the light effects, which I will show you in a second. So what I'll do now is I'll quickly activate the music from the watch, and you will see how the bezel lights up, and you will decide whether that's something that rocks your boat and you want this particular watch for this particular reason. This light effect on the bezel will activate whilst you listen to the music from the watch only. So if you're going to connect your earbuds, this light effect will not take place. And also this watch will light up as long as this option is activated. It will light up when someone's going to ring you. So you can manually deactivate the sound, you can deactivate the vibration, but you can keep the light on. So for instance, if you're in a meeting somewhere, or you somewhere where you're not allowed to use your phone and so on, but you really don't want to miss a text message or a phone call from someone, you can activate this option and you can sit there carefully and you will see the bezel light up, and that will mean that there's an information coming onto the watch. Could be useful, could not be, but you know, it's a very personal opinion. I'm not going to comment on that. It's up to you to decide whether you prefer that or not. So what we'll do now as well is I'll probably jump into the Superband app. I'll show you some of the watch faces that you can download. They're definitely not as cool as the ones you can download for Kumi KU2+. However, there is also several watch faces available. We'll have a look at the app right now, and then we're going to come back and I'm going to summarize today's video, and I will sort of share my opinion on both of these models, and I will tell you whether it's worth the money or not. Right guys, let's take a look at the Superband app first of all. So GT5. On the first page, you see it's syncing right now. You've got information about how many steps you've done, how many calories you burned, your overall health rating and so on, your current heart rate and so on, and your sleep tracking for the previous night. Obviously you had to have the watch on in order for the information to be collected. Then if we go into the settings on the second page, you've got settings for you've got lift wrist to bright screen. So for instance, if you want your screen to turn on whenever you turn your wrist, you can turn this option on and off. You've got your do not disturb mode, you've got your alarm settings. For the message settings, you've got all of these social medias, so you can see they're all listed here. You can either turn them on and off depending on which ones you want to come through onto your watch. For common contacts, this is like a phone book where you're gonna add your contacts, your preferred contacts, and they're gonna be synced with your watch, and then you can use those contacts directly whenever you're gonna be dialing those phone numbers. So if you jump into the dial settings, you've got several watch faces available, and you can see immediately you presented with that so much color, different colors. Majority of them are sort of themed for the Chinese New Year. And what I found is, although the pictures look great and everything, but these watch faces are very informative. All that you've got here is the time and the date, so you don't have information on the watch faces about how many calories you burned, how many steps you've done, what's the remaining battery charge, or perhaps like a new message that came through, or the weather updates and things like that. So I'm going to scroll through. You can see there are tons of different watch faces available. However, like I said, they're not very informative, so all that you get is just the time and the date, and that's basically about it. As long as you're happy with that, these watch faces could be cool for you. However, I found them a bit useless for my preference.
So guys, this is Kumi GT5. I'm in a quiet environment. Watch is very close to space, and this is basically how you're going to be communicating to people through the watch here. And it's up to you to decide whether the microphone quality is good enough for you. Would you'd be able to use something like that. The speaker is loud enough. You have station outdoors. You should be able to hear people just fine. And it's up to you to decide whether this is a good enough quality for you or not.
So now that you've seen pretty much everything and I've spoken about all the figures and the prices and so on, it's really up to you to decide which watch you prefer, because one is round, the other one is rectangle. The price is probably set right, and like I said, keep your eyes open for the 11th, so 11th of November coming up. There will be massive sales on AliExpress. Make sure you save up any points that possible and collect all the coins and activate all the coupons that are available online. I will definitely leave a link down below, and I will contact the seller of this particular product for this brand, Kumi brand, before I upload the video, and I will do my best to get some coupons for you guys if you still want to purchase these particular products. So my personal opinion, bare opinion. So personally, I prefer the Kumi KU2 Plus for the reasons being, the screen is a lot nicer to look at. Personally, I don't use the phone call capabilities, so it's just an extra option that I never use. I do like the fact that on Kumi KU2 Plus you can actually charge it and use it for 2 weeks non-stop, and you don't have to think about charging it. And also it's a lot skinnier. It's a lot skinnier watch, and with the cool weather, us wearing those winter coats with the tight sleeves, it's always a bit of a pain in the back when you've got a very thick watch. So for me personally, I prefer a thinner, smaller, easy to manage sort of watch to wear in winter time. But like I said, it's really up to you. The price is set right. Like I said, it depends really on you. Whether if you need phone call capabilities, go for Kumi GT5. If you're happy to go along with a fitness tracker with a good screen, with a good quality, sensors and all those things, go for Kumi KU2 Plus. It really is that simple. So it's really up to you. And the lighter bezel, personally, I don't see really much of a use of this bezel. And to me, the menu looked like it could do with a little bit of updating. Maybe the visuals could be updated slightly, but yeah. That's basically it. So yeah, so guys, I hope you've enjoyed this representation of a brand new product in Europe and basically around the world, Kumi, connecting the future. So thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for commenting and connecting with me and supporting this channel. Without you guys, this channel wouldn't survive, it wouldn't exist basically. So yeah, thank you very much. I hope this video has been helpful. If you still got any questions, don't hesitate, comment down below, and I'll do my best to answer your questions as soon as I possibly can. And look forward to new videos, which are coming very soon, because there will be loads more new product that came in through the post from China, and they are very cool indeed. So I'll see you guys in the next